Commander stood in the archive chamber, his eyes scanning the ancient data files that floated before him. The holographic text glowed softly in the darkness, casting blue light across his face. He had spent 3 months searching through forbidden records, looking for something that should not exist. Humanity. According to every official record in the United Galactic Council, humans were extinct. They had destroyed themselves in a nuclear war 300 years ago on a planet called Earth. Their world was now a dead rock, poisoned by radiation and forgotten by time. Every child in the galaxy learned this in school. It was a warning about the dangers of war and violence, but did not believe it. The numbers did not add up. The dates were wrong. The reports contradicted each other. And strangest of all, entire sections of the Galactic Archive had been deleted or corrupted. Someone had tried very hard to erase humanity from history. "You are still here," a voice said behind him. Turned to see Ambassador walking into the chamber. She was one of the few people who knew about his research. She was also one of the few who believed him. "I found something," said, pulling up a new file. "Look at this transmission log from exactly 300 years ago. It shows regular contact between Earth and 17 Council worlds. Then suddenly nothing, complete silence. But the official story says Earth destroyed itself in war. If that were true, we would see escalating conflicts in the months before. But there is nothing. Just normal trade, normal communications, and then complete silence." Study the data carefully. What do you think happened? "I think someone made them disappear," said quietly. "I think humanity was removed from the council by force." Before could respond, an alarm blared through the archive. Red lights flashed along the walls. Communication device buzzed urgently against his wrist. "All senior officers report to the council chamber immediately," a mechanical voice announced. "Emergency session, Priority Alpha." And exchanged glances. Priority Alpha meant only one thing, a crisis that threatened the entire galaxy. They ran through the corridors of the council station, joining hundreds of other officials rushing toward the central chamber. The massive room was already filled with representatives from dozens of species. The air buzzed with worried conversations in 100 different languages. Hai stood at the center platform, his face grave. He was the oldest member of the council, nearly 200 years old. He raised one hand, and the chamber fell silent. "We have detected a signal," announced. "It originated from the dead zone, a region of space that has been off-limits for 3 centuries. No ship that has entered that zone has ever returned." A holographic map appeared above the chamber, showing the galaxy. A red marker pulsed in a dark region labeled Quarantine Zone Epsilon. "The signal is encrypted," continued, "but our best analysts have identified the encryption pattern. It matches an ancient human number system." Gasps echoed through the chamber, felt his heart racing. "That is impossible," someone shouted. "Humans are extinct." "That is what we believed," said slowly. "But this signal suggests otherwise. It contains mathematical patterns, navigation coordinates, and what appears to be a distress call. The council must decide how to respond." Arguments erupted immediately. Some insisted it was a trap. Others claimed it was impossible, that someone was using old human technology to trick them. A few suggested ignoring it entirely. Could not stay silent, he stepped forward. "Hi, I request permission to speak." Nodded. "Commander, you have the floor." "For months I have been researching humanity's disappearance," said, his voice carrying across the chamber. "The official story does not match the evidence. I believe humans did not destroy themselves. I believe they were forced to leave or they chose to leave. Either way, they may still be alive. This signal could be proof." "This is ridiculous," another snapped. "Commander is wasting our time with conspiracy theories." But stood beside. "I have reviewed his evidence. There are too many inconsistencies in the historical records to ignore. If there is even a chance that humans survived, We must investigate." Was silent for a long moment, then he spoke. "I am old enough to remember when humans were part of this council," he said quietly. The chamber went completely silent. "I was young then, barely an adult, but I remember them. They were warriors, brilliant strategists. They built ships that could do things our engineers said were impossible, and they refused to follow our rules." "What happened to them?" someone asked. "The council voted to expel them," said. "We demanded they limit their military power. They refused. We threatened them with sanctions. They from council space and vanished. We declared them extinct because it was easier than admitting we had driven them away." The revelation sent shockwaves through the chamber. Felt vindicated but also angry. How many lies had the council told? "I propose we send a reconnaissance mission," declared. "A small team to investigate this signal. Commander will lead it." More arguments followed, but eventually the council voted. The mission was approved. Over the next week assembled his team. A brilliant engineer who could fix anything. A tactical officer with 20 years of combat experience. Sora, a scientist who specialized in xenobiology. And the best pilot in the fleet, though his attitude sometimes got him in trouble. Their ship, the Eternal Dawn, launched from the council station on a cold morning, came to see them off. "Be careful," she told. "If humans are alive, they may not be happy to see us." "I know," said, "but we have to try. The truth matters." The Eternal Dawn accelerated away from the station, its engines glowing bright blue. They set course for the dead zone, for the coordinates hidden in that mysterious signal. As they traveled through empty space, stood on the bridge and stared at the stars. Somewhere out there in the darkness, humanity might be waiting. 300 years of silence, 300 years of lies. Soon they would know the truth. The ship jumped into faster-than-light travel, and the stars became streaks of light. They were going to find Earth. They were going to find humanity. And nothing would ever be the same again. The Eternal Dawn dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the dead zone. Immediately, every alarm on the bridge started screaming. "Multiple contacts," Sora shouted from her station. "I count at least 50 automated defense platforms. They are powering up weapons." "Evasive maneuvers," ordered. His hands flew across the controls. The ship rolled hard to the left just as a beam of energy sliced through the space where they had been. The platforms were old, built with technology the Council had not used in centuries, but they were still deadly. "Those are human defense satellites," said, studying her sensors. "The design matches records from 300 years ago." "Can you disable them?" asked. "Not without getting closer," replied. "And if we get closer, they will destroy us." Another energy beam cut past the ship, cursed and threw the Eternal Dawn into a spin. "We need to send a message," suggested. "Tell them we come in peace." Sora was already working on it. "I am broadcasting on all frequencies, standard Council greeting protocols." For a tense minute, nothing happened. The defense platforms kept firing. Then suddenly, all the weapons stopped. "We are being hailed," Sora said, surprise in her voice. "Audio only. The signal is coming from somewhere deeper in the system." "Put it through," ordered. Static filled the bridge, then a voice spoke. It was human. Knew it immediately because he had heard recordings in the archives. The accent, the rhythm of speech, it was unmistakable. "Unknown vessel, you have entered restricted space. Identify yourself and state your purpose, or you will be destroyed." Stepped forward. "This is Commander of the United Galactic Council ship Eternal Dawn. We received a distress signal from this region. We came to investigate and to offer assistance." Silence. Then the voice spoke again, colder this time. "The Council, you have nerve showing up here after 300 years. "We mean no harm," said quickly. "We just want to talk." "You want to talk? Fine. But if you try anything, our weapons will turn your ship into dust. Follow the navigation beacon and do not deviate. A signal appeared on their screens, showing a flight path deeper into the system. Looked at, who nodded. The pilot carefully guided the ship along the designated route. As they traveled, they passed more defense platforms, hundreds of them, thousands. The entire system was a fortress. "Look at those ships," whispered. They could see vessels docked at massive space stations. The ships were like nothing in the Council fleet. They were sleek, angular, covered in armor that seemed to absorb light. Their weapons were visible, huge cannons that could probably destroy a planet. "They have been busy," muttered. The navigation beacon led them to a large space station orbiting a blue and green planet. Earth felt a strange emotion looking at it. This was the of humanity, a place he had only seen in ancient recordings. "Prepare for docking," the human voice instructed. The eternal dawn was guided into a docking bay by tractor beams. As soon as they landed, armed soldiers surrounded the ship. They wore black armor and carried weapons that hummed with energy. "We should go out there," said. "That might not be wise," warned. "They look hostile." "We came here to make contact," said. "We have to take the risk." The team gathered at the airlock, opened it slowly and stepped out, hands raised to show he was unarmed. The soldiers did not lower their weapons. Then two people walked through the ranks of soldiers. One was a man in a military uniform with captain's insignia. The other was a woman, younger, wearing a lieutenant's uniform. Both had the dark hair and eyes common in old human records. "I am Captain," the man said. "This is Lieutenant Bora. Welcome to Earth, though I suspect you will not enjoy your visit." "We came in peace," said. "That is what the Council said 300 years ago," replied. "Right before they tried to control us, right before they demanded we surrender our weapons and our freedom." "I know what happened," said. "I have read the records. The Council was wrong to expel you." Studied him carefully. "You are either very brave or very stupid coming here. What do you really want?" Took a breath. "The galaxy needs your help." That got their attention. Bora's eyes narrowed. "Explain." "There is a new threat," said. "A species called the Dominion. They come from dark space beyond the outer rim. They are like nothing we have fought before. They consume entire worlds. We have lost 23 colonies in 6 months. Millions are dead. Our fleets cannot stop them." And Bora exchanged glances, then laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "So the Council ignored us for 3 centuries, declared us extinct, and now you want our help. That is rich." "I know we do not deserve it," admitted. "But innocent people are dying. Children, families, entire civilizations. If humanity has the power to help, please consider it." Bora stepped forward. "Why should we care what happens to the Council? They abandoned us." "Because it is the right thing to do," said simply. Doctor, the linguist on's team, spoke up. "I have studied human culture, your old stories, your history. Humans always fought for those who could not fight for themselves. That is what made you different. That is what made you great." His expression softened slightly. "You have done your homework." "Take us to your leaders," requested. "Let us make our case properly. If you decide not to help, we will leave and never return, but at least hear us out." After a long moment nodded, "Follow me." They were led through the space station to a conference room. The walls were covered with star maps and tactical displays. Sitting at the head of a long table was an older man with gray hair and sharp eyes. He wore a general's uniform. "I am General Jin," he said. "I command Earth's defense forces. Commander, I have been listening to your conversation. Tell me about the Dominion." Activated a holographic display showing images of the attacks. The Dominion ships looked organic, like giant insects. They moved in massive swarms, overwhelming defenses through sheer numbers. "They operate as a hive mind," explained. "One consciousness controlling billions of bodies. They assimilate technology from the species they destroy. They are getting stronger with each world they take. Jin watched silently. When the presentation ended, he spoke. We know about the Dominion. That shocked everyone. You know, asked. We have been monitoring galactic events for 300 years, Jin said. We saw the Dominion emerge 5 years ago. We have been preparing. Preparing for what? Asked. Jin smiled grimly. For war, Commander. We knew eventually they would come for Earth. And when they do, we will be ready. The question is whether the Council will be ready. Based on what you have shown me, the answer is no. Then help us, pleaded. Jin stood up. The Council cast us out. They called us dangerous. They said our way of thinking, our military strength, our independence was a threat to peace. Well, now there is a real threat, and the Council is defenseless. We made mistakes, acknowledged. But is that a reason to let billions die? The room was silent. Then Lieutenant Bora spoke. General, we cannot just stand by and watch. That is not who we are. Jin looked at her, then at Captain, then at. You are right, he said finally. It is not who we are, but if we do this, we do it our way. No council oversight, no restrictions on our tactics. We fight as we see fit. Done, said immediately. Jin extended his hand. Then humanity is going to war, and the galaxy is about to remember why they feared us. Shook his hand, feeling hope for the first time in months. Humanity was back. The council chamber erupted in chaos when made his announcement. Humans are alive, one shouted. This is impossible. Not impossible, replied calmly. I have met them, spoken with them. They have agreed to help us fight the Dominion. Hai stood at his platform, raising his hand for silence. Tell us everything, Commander. Described Earth, the defense platforms, the massive fleet. He told them about General Jin and the offer of military aid, but he also delivered the difficult truth. Humanity will fight, but only under their own command. They will not take orders from the Council. The chamber exploded again, argued that this was unacceptable, that humanity could not be trusted, that 300 years of absence meant they had no place in galactic affairs. Ambassador stood up. We are losing this war. The Dominion has taken 40 colonies now. 40. Every week we lose more worlds. Our fleets are being destroyed. We are desperate, and yet we still cling to pride. If humanity can help, we must accept their terms. But we know nothing about their current capabilities, another argued. How do we know they can actually fight the Dominion? A new voice spoke from the chamber entrance. Because we have already been fighting them. Everyone turned to see General Jin walking into the room, flanked by Captain and Lieutenant Bora. The human delegation moved with confidence, their boots echoing on the chamber floor. Jin stopped at the center platform. For 2 years, we have been intercepting Dominion scout forces before they reached Council space. We have destroyed 14 of their advanced fleets. They do not even know we exist yet. He activated a holographic display showing space battles. Human ships moved with incredible speed and precision, tearing apart Dominion vessels with weapons that seemed impossibly powerful. How? Asked quietly. We studied them, Jin explained. When the Dominion first appeared, we captured some of their ships. We analyzed their biology, their technology, their tactics. We built weapons specifically designed to counter them. Bora stepped forward. The Dominion operates as a hive mind. That is their strength, but also their weakness. Cut off the signal between units and they become confused. We have developed jamming technology that disrupts their communication. But you cannot jam a hive mind, a protested. They share one consciousness. Actually, you can, Bora said. Their consciousness spreads through quantum entanglement across their fleet. Disrupt the entanglement and you disrupt their coordination. It only lasts for a few minutes, but in battle, that is enough. The council members were silent, absorbing this information. Jin continued. Right now, the Dominion has surrounded the colony world Vega Prime. 4 million civilians are trapped there. Your fleet cannot reach them in time. We can, but we need your authorization to enter Council space. Did not hesitate. You have it. Save those people. There is one more thing, Jin said. We need ships, not for fighting. We need transport vessels to evacuate the civilians. Can the Council provide them? We can have 40 transport ships ready within 12 hours, said immediately. Jin nodded. Then we leave in 12 hours. Captain will command the space operation. Lieutenant Bora will lead the ground forces with Commander. Straightened, he had not expected to be part of the combat mission. I am not a soldier, General. No, Jin agreed. But you are the bridge between our people. The Council trusts you. My people respect you for seeking the truth. You need to be there. The meeting ended quickly after that. Jin and his team left to prepare, found himself alone within a quiet corridor. This is really happening, said softly. Humanity is going to war. I am scared, admitted. I have never been in real combat. Neither have most of the people on Vega Prime, replied. But you gave them hope. You found humanity when everyone said they were extinct. Now you will help save lives. 12 hours later, a fleet assembled in orbit around Earth. 40 Council transport ships protected by 12 human warships. The human vessels were smaller than Council ships, but they looked deadly. Their hulls were dark, covered in weapons and armor. Stood on the bridge of the human flagship, the indomitable Spirit. Captain sat in the command chair, calm and focused. All ships report ready, an officer announced. Then let us go save some lives, said. Jump in 3, 2, 1. The fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed. The journey to Vega Prime would take 6 hours. During the trip, Lieutenant Bora briefed on ground combat procedures. She showed him how to use human armor and weapons. The armor was lighter than Council equipment but seemed stronger. The weapons were rifles that fired concentrated energy bolts. Stay close to me, Bora instructed. Follow my orders exactly. The Dominion ground forces are dangerous. They will try to capture you alive and convert you into one of them. Convert? Asked, feeling sick. They inject you with their DNA, Bora explained. It rewrites your biology, makes you part of the hive. The process takes about an hour. It is extremely painful. How do you know this? Bora's expression darkened. We captured one of their conversion chambers 2 years ago. We tested it on volunteers who knew the risks. 3 people sacrificed themselves so we could understand the process and develop countermeasures. Was horrified. That is terrible. That is war, Bora said simply. But their sacrifice was not in vain. Every human soldier carries a neural implant. If the Dominion tries to convert us, the implant releases a toxin that kills us instantly. We cannot be turned. The fleet dropped out of jump near Vega Prime. The planet was surrounded by Dominion bioships. They looked like enormous insects, all chitin and claws. There were hundreds of them. Was right, said quietly. The Council fleet could never break through this. But we can, asked nervously. Smiled, watch. He gave orders in rapid succession. The human warships accelerated forward in a tight formation. The Dominion ships moved to intercept. Then the human ships scattered, each one going in a different direction. The Dominion fleet split up to chase them. That was their mistake. Now commanded. Every human ship activated its jamming system simultaneously. On the displays, could see the Dominion fleet suddenly become chaotic. Ships collided with each other. Their formation fell apart completely. The human warships struck like sharks, hitting hard and fast. Energy weapons and missiles tore through Dominion hulls. Within minutes, dozens of the bioships were destroyed. Transport ships move in, ordered. You have a window of about 5 minutes. The 40 Council transports raced toward Vega Prime, while the human warships kept the Dominion fleet busy. Felt the flagship shudder as they entered the planet's atmosphere. Bora grabbed his arm. Time to go, stay close. They rushed to the landing bay where we're waiting, climbed into one with Bora and 20 human soldiers. The launched, screaming down through the atmosphere. Through the windows, could see the city below. It was under attack. Dominion ground forces were everywhere, huge creatures that looked like a mix of insect and machine. They were herding civilians into containment areas. They landed hard. The doors opened and Bora's team rushed out, weapons firing. The battle for Vega Prime had begun. Ran behind Bora, his rifle in hand. Energy bolts flew past his head. He saw a Dominion soldier charging toward him and fired without thinking. The bolt hit the creature square in its chest, dropping it. "Good shot," Bora yelled. "Keep moving." They fought their way to the civilian containment area. Thousands of people were trapped behind energy barriers, screaming in terror. The Dominion was preparing to start the conversion process. "Kill those barriers," Bora ordered into her communicator. Back on the ship worked frantically. "I am trying, give me 30 seconds. 30 seconds felt like forever. More Dominion soldiers were coming. Human and Council forces formed a defensive line, firing everything they had. Then the barriers flickered and died. "Go, go, go," Bora shouted. The civilians ran toward the transports. Human soldiers provided cover fire while Council personnel helped people aboard the ships. It was chaos, but it was working. Helped an elderly woman onto a transport. She looked at him with tears in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. That moment made everything worth it. The evacuation took 4 hours. 4 desperate, brutal hours of fighting. But when it was done, all 4 million civilians were safe aboard the transport ships. The fleet jumped away from Vega Prime, just as more Dominion reinforcements arrived. On the bridge let out a long breath. Mission accomplished. Collapsed into a chair, exhausted. They had done it. They had actually done it. Humanity was back, and the galaxy was taking notice. News of the Vega Prime rescue spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The survivors told stories of human soldiers fighting with skill and courage beyond anything they had seen. Council military analysts studied recordings of the battle and could not believe what they were watching. Stood in the Council war room 2 days later, presenting his report. The room was packed with admirals, generals, and senior officials from a dozen species. "The human tactics are unlike anything in our doctrine," explained, showing battle footage. "They do not fight in rigid formations. They adapt constantly. They take risks that our commanders would never authorize, and somehow it works." Admiral of Earth appeared on the holographic display, joining the meeting remotely from the human flagship stationed near Earth. "Our philosophy is simple," said. "Your council teaches predictable tactics. You fight by the book. The Dominion has learned to counter your strategies because you never change them. We fight unpredictably. We do what the enemy does not expect." "That sounds like chaos," a council admiral protested. "It is controlled chaos," corrected. "Every human soldier is trained to think independently. They can make decisions without waiting for orders. This makes our small forces as effective as your large ones." High spoke up. "Admiral, we are grateful for your help at Vega Prime, but intelligence suggests the Dominion is preparing a major offensive. They have gathered over 3,000 bioships. We believe they are going to attack Earth itself." The room went silent, felt his blood run cold. His expression did not change. "Let them come." "You cannot be serious," another said. 3,000 ships, even humanity cannot fight that many." "Earth has been preparing for this fight for 300 years, replied calmly. "We will not fall." General Jin appeared on the display next to. "The Dominion makes a mistake coming to our home. They think we are weak because we isolated ourselves. They will learn the truth. The question is whether the Council will stand with us." Did not hesitate. "We will send every available ship. Humanity defended us at Vega Prime. We will defend you at Earth." Over the next week, the largest fleet in galactic history assembled. 2,000 Council warships from 40 different species, all converging on the Sol system. Human engineers worked around the clock to coordinate the different ship types and weapon systems. Lieutenant Bora and Commander worked together, planning ground defense strategies. They had become good friends during the Vega Prime mission. "How can you be so calm?" asked her as they reviewed defense grids. 3,000 enemy ships are coming to destroy your home." Bora smiled. "Because I believe in my people, and because I know something the Dominion does not." "What is that?" "Earth is not just a planet. It is a fortress. Every moon, every asteroid, every satellite in this system is armed. The Dominion will find that out the hard way." Pilot was given command of a fighter squadron. He stood in the hangar bay, looking at his new ship. It was a human design, smaller and faster than anything he had flown before. "Beautiful, is it not?" Captain said, walking up beside him. "It is incredible," admitted, "but I have only had 3 days of training on these fighters." "That is 3 days more than most," replied. "General Jin chose you because you are the best pilot in the Council fleet. We need the best right now." "No pressure," muttered. Laughed and clapped him on the shoulder. "You will do fine. Just remember, do not try to outfly them, outthink them." The Dominion fleet arrived exactly when intelligence predicted. 3,000 bioships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Sol system. They moved in a massive swarm, blotting out the stars. On Earth's orbital command station, General Jin watched the enemy approach. His staff was silent, nervous. "Activate all defense platforms," Jin ordered. "Prepare the fleet, and send one final message to the Dominion." A communications officer looked at him in surprise. "What should the message say, General?" Jin smiled grimly. "Tell them, welcome to Earth, you will not leave." The Dominion fleet accelerated toward Earth. Then the human defenses activated. First, the hidden minefields. Thousands of mines that had been floating dormant in space suddenly powered up. They were small, hard to detect, and they were everywhere. The Dominion front ranks flew straight into them. Explosions lit up space. Hundreds of bioships were destroyed in the first 30 seconds. Then the platforms opened fire. These were enormous weapons mounted on asteroids, capable of accelerating projectiles to a fraction of light speed. When the solid metal slugs hit Dominion ships, they punched straight through. The Dominion fleet tried to adapt, spreading out to avoid the mines. That was when the Council fleet attacked from above and below, catching them in a crossfire. Admiral commanded the human fleet from the bridge of her flagship. "All ships, pattern Gamma, hit and run. Do not let them surround you." The human warships darted in and out of the battle, striking fast and disappearing before the Dominion could respond. It was like watching sharks hunting. Led his fighter squadron in a desperate attack on one of the larger Dominion command ships. 20 fighters against a vessel the size of a city. "We cannot hurt that thing," one of his pilots shouted. "We do not have to hurt it," replied. "We just have to distract it. Follow me." He led his fighters in a wild, spiraling attack pattern. The Dominion ship's weapons tracked them but could not hit them. While it was focused on the fighters, a human cruiser came in from the side and fired a full missile salvo. The Dominion command ship exploded. "That is one down," whooped. "Let us find another." But the Dominion was learning. They concentrated their forces and pushed forward with overwhelming numbers. The Council fleet started taking heavy casualties. On the orbital command station, alarms blared. "The line is breaking," an officer reported. "Dominion forces are getting through." Jin remained calm. "Activate the inner defense grid. All civilian shelters to lockdown. Prepare ground forces." Stood next to Bora in the command center, watching the battle on displays. "We are losing," he said quietly. "Not yet," Bora replied. "Watch." 3 dozen Dominion bioships broke through the fleet battle and headed straight for Earth. They entered the atmosphere, intending to land ground forces. What they found was every human on Earth ready to fight. Defense cannons hidden in mountains opened fire. Anti-aircraft missiles streaked up from cities. Fighter craft launched from hidden bases. The Dominion ships were hit from every direction. But some got through. They landed their troops in a major city. Bora grabbed her rifle. "Time to go to work, you coming?" Picked up his own weapon. "Yes, I am coming." They rushed to join the ground defense forces. The streets were a war zone. Dominion soldiers were everywhere, enormous creatures that seemed unstoppable. But humanity was fighting back with everything they had. Civilians who had military training grabbed weapons and joined the battle. Engineers rigged traps. Medical teams set up field hospitals in subway stations. Found himself fighting alongside regular people, a teacher, a doctor, a mechanic, all of them determined to defend their home. During the fighting, something happened that would never forget. He saw Tactical Officer, his teammate from the Eternal Dawn, leading a squad to destroy a Dominion communication node. The node was heavily defended. "Fall back," shouted into his communicator. "That is a suicide mission." "Someone has to do it," replied calmly. "Tell my family I did my duty." And his squad charged the node. They took heavy fire, but they reached it, planted explosives while his team provided cover. Most of them were killed, but succeeded. He detonated the explosives, destroying the node and himself in the blast. The Dominion forces in that sector immediately became disorganized, losing coordination. It gave the human defenders the opening they needed to push them back. Felt tears on his face. Had been a good man, a brave man. "He saved hundreds of lives," Bora said softly beside him. "Maybe thousands. He will be remembered." The battle raged for 18 hours. Slowly, painfully, the combined human and council forces pushed the Dominion back. The bioships were destroyed one by one. The ground forces were eliminated. When the last Dominion soldier fell, a cheer went up across the planet. On the orbital command station, General Jin allowed himself a small smile. "Send word to all forces. Victory, Earth stands." But knew the war was not over. This was just one battle. The Dominion was still out there, still a threat. However, something had changed. The galaxy had seen humanity fight. They had seen human courage, human sacrifice, human determination. The legend had become reality. And everyone knew now. Humanity was back and they were ready for war. 3 days after the battle, Commander stood in a cemetery on Earth. Thousands of graves stretched out before him, each one marking a soldier who had fallen defending the planet. He stopped at one grave in particular. "Tactical Officer," the marker read, "a hero of 2 worlds." "I thought I would find you here," a voice said behind him. Turned to see Doctor approaching. She looked tired but hopeful. "I have been reading the names," said quietly. "Humans, yes, but also soldiers from 40 different council species. All of them died defending Earth, a planet that was not even their home." "That is what makes it meaningful," replied. "They died defending an idea, the idea that we are all in this together." Ambassador joined them carrying a data pad. "Commander, you need to see this. Our intelligence teams have been analyzing the Dominion forces we captured. They found something." She showed him a holographic scan. The Dominion is not truly a single consciousness. It is more like a network, and at the center of that network is a central node, a being called the Chancellor. "Where is this Chancellor?" asked. "That is the problem," said. "The Chancellor is aboard a massive command ship somewhere in deep space. The ship is protected by what remains of the Dominion fleet, at least 1,000 bioships. So we find this Chancellor and destroy it," said. "That will end the war." "Not destroy," corrected, studying the data. If we just kill the Chancellor, the Dominion network might adapt and create a new one. We need to sever the network connections, break the Chancellor's control permanently. How do we do that? I have an idea, said, but it requires getting very close to the Chancellor, boarding distance. Later that day, the plan was presented to the combined leadership. General Jin, Admiral, High, and representatives from all the allied species gathered in Earth's war room. It is a desperate plan, Jin admitted after hearing the details. We would need to penetrate the Dominion's main fleet, board their command ship, and plant a virus directly into their network. The chances of success are low. But if it works, we end the war, Captain said. If it fails, we die trying. Those are better odds than letting the Dominion keep consuming worlds. Spoke up. The Council approves this mission. Commander, will you lead the strike team? Felt every eye in the room turn to him. He thought about all the people who had already sacrificed so much. Yes, he said firmly, I will lead it. Lieutenant Bora volunteered immediately. I am coming with you. Pilot raised his hand. Someone needs to fly the insertion craft. Might as well be me. Doctor stepped forward. You will need a scientist to deploy the virus. I will go. Even Ambassador volunteered. This is a diplomatic mission as much as a military one. I am coming. Captain looked at his team. Then I am coming too. We do this together. The plan was simple in concept but nearly impossible in execution. The Allied fleet would attack the Dominion position, drawing away as many ships as possible. A small stealth ship carrying the strike team would slip through during the chaos, board the command ship, and deploy the virus. 3 days later, the largest military operation in galactic history began. 2,000 Allied ships jumped into the Dominion-controlled sector. The enemy fleet was ready for them. The battle started immediately. Admiral commanded from her flagship, coordinating the Allied forces with precision. All ships engage at will. Make them think this is a full assault. Draw them away from the command ship. The space battle was fierce. Ships exploded. Missiles filled the void. Energy weapons lit up the darkness like lightning. In the chaos, a single small craft slipped through the battle lines. Piloted with skill born from desperation, dodging fire from both sides. Almost there, he muttered, sweat running down his face. The Dominion command ship was enormous, larger than any space station. It looked organic, like a living creature floating in space. I am picking up massive energy readings, said from her sensor station. The Chancellor is definitely on that ship. Brought them in close, attaching to the hull with magnetic clamps. We are docked, time to move. The strike team consisted of 8 people, Bora, I, and 2 human special forces soldiers named and. They cut through the hull and entered the ship. Inside it was like nothing they had ever seen. The walls pulsed with organic tissue. The air was thick and humid. Everything was alive. This is disgusting, muttered. Stay focused, Bora ordered. We have maybe 20 minutes before they realize we are here. They moved through the corridors, following scanner toward the central network node. Dominion soldiers appeared, and the team had to fight their way through. Fell first, killed by a Dominion warrior, then sacrificed herself to destroy a group of enemies that were about to overwhelm the team. Keep moving, shouted. Their deaths cannot be for nothing. They reached the central chamber. It was massive, filled with pulsing organic technology, and at the center, floating in some kind of biofluid, was the Chancellor. It looked almost human, but wrong. Its body was connected to thousands of cables that spread throughout the ship. That is it, breathed. That is the consciousness controlling the entire Dominion. The Chancellor's eyes opened. It spoke, its voice echoing directly in their minds. You are the humans, the species that should not exist. You resisted the natural order. You cling to your individual consciousness. You are the disease in the galaxy. "We are not a disease," said, raising his weapon. "We are proof that individuals can achieve more than any hive mind." "You are wrong," the Chancellor replied. "Alone you are weak. Together under one will you would be perfect." "Together does not mean controlled," said. "Real unity comes from choice, not force." Was working frantically, trying to upload the virus. "I need more time, keep it talking." Bora stepped forward. "You know what your real problem is. You think you can predict us. You think because you are one mind controlling billions you are smarter than us, but you are not. You are just one way of thinking. We are millions of different ideas working together because we choose to." The Chancellor laughed, a horrible sound. "Your friend chose to die. Was that smart?" "That was the bravest thing I have ever seen," replied. "He chose to sacrifice himself to save others. Can your hive mind understand sacrifice? Can it understand love or honor or hope?" "Those are weaknesses." "No," said, "those are what make us strong." Alarms started blaring. "It knows we are here," shouted. "Dominion forces incoming." "Almost there," said, her fingers flying over her equipment. The chamber doors burst open. Dominion soldiers poured in. The strike team formed a defensive circle around, fighting desperately. Was hit in the shoulder but kept firing. Bora took a blast to her leg but stayed standing. "Done," shouted. "Virus deployed." She pressed a button. For a moment nothing happened. Then the Chancellor screamed. The virus spread through the network like wildfire, severing connections, breaking the links that held the hive mind together. Throughout the Dominion fleet, billions of individuals suddenly found themselves alone in their own minds for the first time. Some panicked, some shut down. The fleet stopped fighting. "It is working," said, watching her scanner. "The network is collapsing." "Time to go," ordered. "Move, move, move." They ran back through the corridors. The ship was dying around them, its organic systems failing. They reached their craft and, despite his injury, got them away just as the command ship began to tear itself apart. In the main battle, Admiral watched in amazement as the entire Dominion fleet simply stopped. Ships drifted aimlessly. No coordination, no purpose. "All forces cease fire," she ordered. "The war is over." Cheers erupted across the Allied fleet. 300 years of isolation had ended. 6 months of desperate war had ended. The galaxy was saved. 2 weeks later, a ceremony was held on Earth. Representatives from every Allied species gathered to honor the fallen and celebrate the victory. Commander stood at a podium, looking out at the crowd. He saw humans and aliens side by side, no longer separated by fear or distrust. 300 years ago, said, the galaxy made a terrible mistake. We feared humanity because they were different, because they would not surrender their freedom. We declared them extinct rather than admit we were wrong. He paused, looking at General Jin standing nearby. But humanity never died. They just waited, and when the galaxy needed them most, they came back, not with anger or revenge, but with courage and honor. They fought for people who had abandoned them. They died for worlds that were not their own. Looked at Bora, standing with her injured leg in a brace, at his arm in a sling, at who had saved them all with her brilliant mind. Today we remember those who fell, and thousands of others. They proved that humanity was never just a legend. It was always a promise that when darkness comes, there will be those brave enough to fight it. The ceremony ended with a moment of silence. Then General Jin stepped forward. "The war is over," he said simply. "But our work is not done. The galaxy needs to rebuild. It needs to heal. And this time we do it together. No more secrets, no more fear, just unity built on trust and respect." Ambassador was appointed the first Galactic Chancellor, a new position created to lead the Reformed Council. She chose as her chief advisor. Captain and Lieutenant Bora were tasked with creating a new integrated military, training soldiers from all species in human tactics. Pilot became a flight instructor, teaching the next generation of pilots. Doctor founded a research institute dedicated to understanding different species and cultures. General Jin finally retired, satisfied that his people were safe and respected. Visited the war memorial one last time before taking up his new duties. He stood before its grave. "We did it," he said softly. "The galaxy is at peace. Humanity is back where it belongs, and everyone knows now that you were never just a legend. You were real. You were heroes." The sun was setting over Earth, painting the sky in orange and gold. In the distance, ships from 100 different worlds launched into space, carrying supplies and aid to worlds that needed rebuilding. The legend had become reality, and the galaxy would never forget the day humanity went to war and reminded them all what courage truly meant. The legend was real, humanity was back, and the stars themselves seemed brighter for it.